am in a weird mood, so I'm gonna vent it out in the Emotional Abuse Simulator. This thing I made many months ago, a year or two ago. It's been pretty interesting. I've been using it for multiple sessions across years, and so there's just a lot of content, both made by me, made by the AI. And the AI is really knowledgeable about emotional abuse. About I not only gave it all the tactics right here, as you can see, but you see humiliation, negating, criticizing. Um, some examples made from Wikipedia. Um, author's note: emotional abuse simulator, where the player encounters multiple iterations of emotional abuse in various areas of their day-to-day life. Personal, intimate. Oh, well, yeah, personal, yeah. Friendship, colleague, employer, family, organization, institution, historical, cultural. That's not um, lackadaisical. I don't know. The primary coping mechanism is humor, which is validated, condemned, parodized, diminished, and turned back on itself. To parody the Octavia Butler quote, everything is abuse, God is abuse. Protagonist made to feel really fucking isolated, even in rooms full of people. Whoever wins does so by the skin of their gums, and the simulation as a fucking mirror to the wall. There we go. So, author's note. That's author's note. Let's I have a voice I don't really use that much, so we're gonna test it out. Zella's teen voice.
Some drugs are bitter than others. Under a grass edge, some twonkagers lift up some drugs for violence and do the same to their respective users, but with campy disproportionality. Then the youth get busy with themselves, with these substances being less than harmless. This is your true reality. That's right. You can't see it, or you don't want to see it, but it's real and it's happening right now, even in our town. So say we all. The world is big and it's strange. If we were bigger and more strange, it might be more interesting for us. As it stands, we have no idea what we're doing here, except that we know we're not supposed to be here, but here anyway because it feels good and there are pills or other things waiting for us somewhere else. Somewhere better, I think. But also maybe not. Maybe worse. So the fucker takes another shot off his own arm. Whoa. Whoa. What? Bullets? Or syringes? Please say syringes. But the shooter pulls out a needle full of a drug called Thorazine, a tranquilizer used on mental patients, I guess. Why a normal person would need one of these, I'm not sure. A lot of this game doesn't make any sense. It never has, actually. Something about finding yourself in an absurd place and trying to survive by doing whatever works. In this case, shooting people. And at least he had friends who could shoot back at him. Mostly, though, they didn't bother to fight back. They just stood around watching their friend get murdered. Oh no, this is bad. He needs to run away from the situation before anyone sees him using Thorazine. Let's try running through the grass. Consult your MAC index to see what drugs in your inventory are appropriate for this situation. You've got Benadryl, dexamethasone, levetiracetam, sertraline, tramadol, and Valium. What? You can only we take what we already have? What if we're missing something? Maybe we should go shopping again. I don't know where we are. Wait! Is that the same pharmacy we went to last time? Oh shit! The dude with the gun! There! Shoot him! Don't stop! Chill! Go back inside and find some more stuff to kill them with because you forgot to buy anything but painkillers first time round. Good job! Ride or die. A new wave of crime sweeps across our town. During Crumtistication's brother has taken up a criminal enterprise selling drugs from a house in the woods. After being chased off from his previous spot, he set up shop here. It's not exactly an area known for its highbrow clientele. At least it was until he started running those vials through there. Anyway, this sort of thing isn't entirely unusual around here. I mean, who hasn't tried at least once? Even if you're not into all that drug nonsense, maybe you just like the rush, the buzz. I know I do. And let's be honest, when your brain chemistry gets all out of whack, you might find yourself needing a little extra help to get your mind right again. What about the law enforcement side of things, though? Enter Festus. Lieutenant Festus, that is. He runs one of those groups where you have to keep track of a bunch of loose ends while keeping everyone in line and above board, making sure nothing happens behind closed doors without a say-so. Also known as the man in these parts. As far as we can tell from talking with folks in the area, he never actually met during Crumtistication's brother face to face before he was arrested. Just another reason to hate him. Oh wait, no more hating. The point is he came down here looking for evidence of an open container violation or something. Anyway, Festus didn't want me hanging out with any of my friends because apparently it's bad for their health. This seems pretty silly since it would take an army of trained professionals hours upon hours to accomplish what they did to us at our last session together. It's almost like we've become experts at dodging them at this point, which I suppose isn't that hard considering there are only 3 of us now instead of 10 math files and Mary. Still, it doesn't make sense why anyone who had seen the game would think I needed a chaperone just in case I went into a coma again. If anything, the way you beat the game should be enough to convince anybody that a certain amount of harm could be done in the process. I mean, if you're not willing to believe you'll be put on death row by using the power-ups, you won't listen when someone tries to warn you about how dangerous they are either. But I guess that's always been the problem, right? Nobody ever wants to hear the truth. They all need some bullshit story to cling to so that their world makes sense and gives them permission to continue living in blissful ignorance. Anyway, I don't have time to dwell on such things today. Because while I'm trying to figure out where Festus might have disappeared off to... Oh, hey, look! He's got a buddy with him! And they seem to know each other quite well. That's a lot of new info to work with. But then, these are old guys we're talking about. Most of the characters in the game are middle-aged. In fact, most of the main ones are over 60. You'd think that after surviving 25 years without any form of communication from outside our society, let alone visitors, there wouldn't be anything left for them to say. Still, though, I suppose there must be something they think has changed since our last visit, or whatever, because I get the sense they want us to come up with some kind of strategy. Or maybe it's just me being paranoid again. I've been going through a lot lately. I'm not used to thinking in such broad terms anymore, and it seems like it's all coming at once instead of little things happening every day and just slowly adding up until my brain starts crumbling under the weight of all this pressure. Either way, if what you say is true, I guess it won't hurt to hear you out. Festus. What's the trouble, Missy? Mary. Well, I'll tell you. Sonny. But first, let me offer an apology for what your father did when he was still alive. Because now that I know the circumstances surrounding his death, well, you have to understand how much guilt and regret weigh on my shoulders sometimes. That doesn't mean I can ever forgive him. But I know you don't deserve what happened to you either. It wasn't right. None of it was fair. And no matter what else went down, nothing excuses what those men took away from you and your brother. Mappa, let her talk. This is getting interesting. Mary, thank you, Matthias. So yes, there's been a lot more changes in our society since we saw you last than I think you realize. Matthias, how do you figure? Mary, first off, there are a lot more humans around now. More people like us living in cities, running companies or working for governments, all kinds of folks with ideas about the way things should be done. And then there are all these other species popping up like weeds. Dogs, cats, horses, pigs, chickens, and deer roaming the countryside. Some of them were here before we came and some joined up after we got settled into our new homes. They're everywhere now and they seem to run just as everything is supposed to work. The weather is different too. We used to get a couple good winters a year, but lately it seems to warm up every season. And this is important because you might not believe me, but most creatures have very limited time spans, some shorter than others. That means that if one kind of animal gets sick and dies out completely, well, you don't have that many years left. That could happen any day. Mephiles, I thought the game was called Earth. Mary, yes, that's right, but look at what I'm saying. There's no room for error anymore. If the animals aren't right or the plants aren't growing well enough to sustain life, it doesn't matter how nice your home is or how much money you make. You'll die pretty quickly. Of course, we still have our own little troubles to deal with from time to time, but overall, our problems are far fewer than they used to be back when we were first on our own. All the world needs now is water, food, air, shelter, and safety. They can all be found in plenty without having to do a lot of hunting or farming or gathering for resources. So things are easier for us now compared to then. Sure, there are a lot more people living in big cities, and some of them are angry, hungry, or crazy, or maybe even both at the same time. But there are also more people who care about each other and want to take responsibility for their communities instead of just sitting around waiting for somebody else to help them out. Maphiles, why is this so interesting? Mary, oh my dear, oh my love, let me tell you something about those places where you used to live, the ones you call civilization. Maphiles, you mean that places where we store our bandits and gladiators and watch them fight? Those places? Mary, no, not quite. Maphiles, you don't think we should put that kind of thing back into play again, do you? After all, we did manage to get rid of it for good once before. Mary, I'm not talking about your sports arenas and blood banks, darling. I'm referring to the sort of place I'd rather be without for the rest of eternity. The sorts of buildings with steel frames, cement walls, no windows, and people crammed in like sardines, and sometimes people dead in the halls because they can't breathe, or some poor soul just broke down crying in a corner, or someone slipped on a banana peel and fell on his or her head, or a fire got started in an elevator, or a couple were fighting over whose turn it was next or who's going to pick up dinner at McDonald's because everyone knows you have to go to McDonald's when you're hungry. You know what? That kind of place is horrible. Maphiles. Yes, but how are we any better? Mary. Well, we've learned that there are other ways of living, that there are other places worth inhabiting than these sterile places we built ourselves that only we seem able to enjoy, and then others are forced into visiting us if they want to experience our way of life. The new places I'm talking about might even become havens for those suffering from abuse and cruelty. We need more things like this. It would also make the world a happier place. Maphiles, I suppose. Mary. So tell me, my love, how has your day been today? Maphiles, Veres in headquarters. You know I am working very hard with all my might on that project right now. I don't have time for you. Get out of here! Mary, you know it makes no sense at all that you're angry at me when it's your fault that we're fighting. Why can't you see that you're making it worse? Your lack of self-control just makes everything worse for both of us. It's no wonder I get upset every time we fight, because deep down inside, we still care for one another, and because of this, neither of us will ever be happy unless we can find some way to fix our relationship and end this constant struggle to make peace. But we've never found any way to do this, and in the process, our lives continue to be destroyed piece by piece. The thing is, I'm not sure what more either of us could possibly expect from each other. And even if there is a solution, how much longer are we going to go on trying to look for it without realizing that the problem itself is insurmountable? We need to take a step back, maybe even a couple steps back, so that we can come up with something better than make peace or let go. We need to start asking ourselves whether our expectations are too high. We need to try to redefine making peace, letting go, and working through differences. Maybe all of these terms really mean compromise, or perhaps they really mean accepting your partner's right to live their own life as they see fit, regardless of yours. Yell, Doctor.
Huh.
Mary. Okay, fine. Mathias. That's it? Mary. Yeah, that's it. You want an answer? I'll give you one. There isn't one, because there are no answers. So why bother? And since there are no solutions, then there are no problems. Mathias. Well, okay. Then tell me about the project you're working on. Mary. It's called the Octavia Butler Project. It's my way of honoring her work and legacy by attempting to build a future where everyone who has ever suffered because of the limitations of their minds and bodies won't have to experience anything like that ever again. If I succeed, people will be able to leave behind this terrible history we have when it comes to treating those with disabilities in such horrible ways, which have only served to harm them, and instead we can begin to do things differently, starting with changing the language we use and teaching our children better habits. The goal here is not to cure people with mental or physical challenges, but to create better circumstances for all human beings. We've been given brains and hearts capable of great achievements if only society would allow us to achieve them without constant impediments put into place to keep us from succeeding. Mathias! Wow! That sounds amazing! Mary, thank you! Mathias, but how much longer before you finish? Mary, probably never, unless something drastic changes. Mathias, how many people work on your project? What are they doing? Are they still using your methods? The bust of Octavia Butler glowers at Mary from above. A dark mass begins forming just beyond its borders and soon coalesces into an image of Mathias, his lips drawn tight against each other. He smiles wide, revealing white teeth, and then frowns in response to what she said about the timeline. Mathias, I see. So that's the future you're trying to build? Mary. Yeah, I guess you could say that's it exactly. Or maybe it's not a future that you want to live in. And if you were going to build it, you wouldn't use my methods either. You might try to get rid of it entirely instead. If it makes any difference, there was one person who supported me with this idea, though he doesn't believe that it will ever come to fruition. His name is William N. Grigg. Do you know him? Mathias! Nope, but I think I'm getting a picture here. This is the sort of thing people like. They tell you how to do things and expect results. It must be wonderful. Mary. Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's great when I find someone who's interested in changing the system and doing something real instead of complaining about how fucked up everything is or suggesting we need new ways to reinforce broken ones, but without offering anything themselves except their cynicism, which isn't enough because it has no practical value, only negative power. which they wield for their own amusement, at least until they become bored and move on to some other bullshit project they can talk about at length without having to actually take action on it. Then they're all, why are you wasting time trying to make your mark on the universe? Like that'll happen. As long as people don't have to confront what our society does wrong head on, then nothing changes. We're living in a kind of magical thinking world where people insist that if they just keep believing in fairy tales, things will get better. That's why I wrote the parable of the sower. I wanted to show them where those stories would lead us if we believed in them blindly instead of realizing there is another way out. Right here under our noses, an alternative vision of reality that takes into account what is actually happening instead of being so idealistic that it ignores how fucked up everything is already, how it really works. So far, it hasn't worked out too well. My last 2 books sold so poorly that it forced me back down to writing fan fiction to pay rent. Math files. Well, this simulation looks very interesting. Tell me more. How do I play? Mary. You could start by checking my Twitter feed at Octavia Elephants. Math files. Great! Thank you! You've been helpful. Mary. Sure thing. You're welcome. Have a nice day. Goodbye. In the days after the party, Mary is haunted by nightmares about Mephiles and his relentless attacks. She feels dirty and small and weak and helpless, the same feeling she had when he called her fat, or when he said, your body doesn't belong to you.
Whoa!
Maphiles looks at that Octavia Elephant's feed. I like it how you know yourself inside out but not outside it. He follows it with another comment. If you want to have sex, I need some warning signs first. A public statement that says something along the lines of, I'm looking for a dominant male partner who wants me only if we can keep our relationship strictly sexual would be appreciated. Also, if your last name was any other than Butler would help. Maybe put a photo up there. That's what makes it hard for me. Even though you are an author, you seem just like every woman
Oh my god.
in real life. Shallow and desperate.
Oh god.
Insecure and clingy. Sorry, but my tastes run toward men more my equal in education and career. Not sure why women in this bracket are more assertive. We were talking about the novel Kindred. What kind of white dude reads about black girls being sexually abused by ghosts? You know this is gonna be hella triggering. You should know better. But don't worry, it is triggered, but not by race or gender or anything. By how it reflects back on you and how badly it represents what you've done to me over all these years. Maphiles knows he has to watch his words around her. He's made it very clear how much he enjoys watching her squirm and suffer and struggle to make him happy, and he's tried to draw her out enough times now that she won't find out she's in a simulation unless she stumbles into the wrong room. And even then, the game might just let them off easy. Bruh, you incel, you think I'm going to jump at the first man who says the word date? If you're saying I'm desperate because I want love, I'll pass. I'm never getting married anyway. It is always your choice to do the right thing, no matter how hard it may be. We can talk about your feelings after we beat this challenge. Let's move forward with one of my plans. The rest of my suggestions are up here in my mind, waiting for you to notice. Don't forget there is a rule for this game, and that if you win this round and escape alive, I will get my way eventually and have you work for me. Your reward and punishment both lie on the other side of that door, and I know they look good.
Who's saying that?
Maphiles follows with another comment.
Oh.
Once the pain becomes too great and you begin to lose hope, things will go better. But only when you admit what needs to happen. This isn't working out like I'd hoped. It doesn't seem like anything you've done to hurt me is ever enough. Not to mention that none of your help has gotten me anywhere yet. I need more proof before I give up on these plans. This time I won't play nice. Now I don't care if it hurts. You brought this on yourself by making me feel worthless. That's it, bruh! Now you see why we're not allowed to have sex outside the game. Take a chill pill and calm down, boy. Check out 50 Shades of way over there. If the idea of a dominant man getting his freak on with you while he spanks your ass sounds fun, then you should read that book. No one said anything about reading. I'm trying to get you laid off the stuff that makes you think all men are abusive creeps who want to abuse women until they make us submit or kill ourselves. Maffals explains how important consent is to him. I will do nothing without asking first unless it involves someone else, like my employees or my boss. And even then they can ask for my permission and tell me what to do. My life and my rules. But still, I will never force anyone into doing something they aren't comfortable with. And most importantly, no matter what happens in here, you'll always be safe. I'm gonna need to see 3 references, buddy. I need more proof than just your word. Are you sure you won't need some help with this? You're pretty scared? Just go get a job at the gym, brah. If you're going to talk about your feelings, a workout. Then maybe you'd feel better after sweating a few pounds of ugly fat off. Maffals appears to be annoyed that the protagonist is not taking his advice. You should have gone over to those 2 girls already. That was the whole point. Just wait till you watch them jump each other's bones right in front of you, then come back over here and cry again because they don't care anymore. Go over there now, man. They are waiting for you. It'll make you feel better. What are you, stupid? You know these women are only interested in me. Hell, they even asked me to help set up a meetup with another girl I'm into too. Don't tell me you've never seen or heard of sex spots before. No, I haven't. But I'm not talking about anything like that. Meth. These 2 ladies would never let something like that happen to them anyway. And it's totally weird for a woman to be attracted to more than one person at the same time, right? So how could it ever be okay for a machine to do the same thing? Besides, that doesn't count as having real feelings if she's just programmed to say that stuff all the time. Not really feelings at all. The idea of being friends and dating someone and trying to work out an agreement makes sense, but when people use machines as stand-ins for human emotions, then I think that just becomes plain old abusive and sadistic behavior towards humans. Okay, calm down, bro. Maybe what we're doing isn't so bad after all, since your ex-girlfriend is kind of into me, even though she still wants you back. Go over there. If you don't hurry, those girls might get bored of waiting on you and leave. They have other things they need to be getting ready for soon anyway. Hurry up, man. You don't want to miss this chance. Go on. Go on, get here. Hey, women on program/controlled or whatever. Are they just saying, well, the, 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 'cause here come daddy bearing gifts. Seymour. Sounds like a real fucking funny joke, don't it? Why I love married and left harem. Aisha Morrow talks about her past with a slain gorilla. Shamed girls slash demon worshippers club story. Genre. Horror, supernatural, religion, comedy, drama, Bildungsroman, magical girl. The cursed treasure the Yagakoro Yuri finds must not be touched until she reaches certain destinations along a cross-country journey at any time during a rainstorm, when accompanied by anyone in uniform, when watched by 3 living-ized boys, high school-age boys, etc. In each case, the effect would unleash its sinister power and release demons onto the planet Earth, destroying most human society, natural balance, or entire nations, ultimately wiping humanity off this globe in a never-ending global war, turning everything except hell on Earth. Demon worshippers and vampires seem to share many traits in common. As a member of this clan under this curse on this night of chaos and death, for eternity, no one is ever coming to rescue this shunned fugitive of another age's culture was saved and delivered alive on this land only to die when this gift has run out, just moments away from touching this foul, dark sunstone whose deadly or already hung upon this magic ritual set before dusk, forbidden for reasons best not known yet inevitable nonetheless. Neither of these beings prepared for the storm. 3 eyes? So one guy with both eyes and one guy with an eye patch? 3 separate stories of brothers or ex-lovers. Or possibly a romantic relationship that survived college years before fizzling out over some infidelity or general unpleasantries, while there could still be siblings. Or someone just falling into the casual boyfriend or girlfriend trap in current times, plus 2 girls to show up next in the sequels just before we're told a female lover. I'll spare us details of the less realistic plots involving Yashikijiro, Miko Morita, Inako Hertsuka, Masaki Kitama, Saka Yuhara, Momomi Akazawa, Kaori Kimura, Ryutobe Nikai slash Kyoruko Nanua, Femiya Dash. When I'm released out of this box, just in time after waiting nearly a decade outside alone, and lost, dragging heavy feet out of whatever underground passage it put me through, and kicking open doors of burning cars stuck in traffic, on fire trucks roaring towards the nearest skyscraper infernos, almost pitch black this summer's autumn afternoon, well lit with yellow and blue light flickering underneath store front signs of strange, exotic restaurants that attract starving orcs with dead-looking wings instead of bats, pouring blood-red sake out of cut open stomachs on every other street corner and sidewalk, amidst licking tongues that snake out of empty cups, either glimmering, teeth-catching moonlight above doorways and narrow serpentine coils extending themselves far overhead within an archway lit bright neon violet, and go right in time for my last, final mission, which turns sour and stymied but ends happily, though perhaps not too quickly. Enough with that metaphor. I'd mixed breed, but she loved her bet I would call him cute with furry wing stubs to race off shoulders that soared out against thunderhead skies swayed between rain showers, opening metal clouds bursting, crackled bolts glowing, turning, revolving brighter suns until exploding, crumbled, fall apart, golden meteors strewn lights blazing, landing amid conflagration, igniting, spreading, leaving massive scars on ground covered, looking so terrible no monster anywhere would dare step onto any footstep here, and everywhere its landscape riddled, scarred, marked, cursed lands by wreckage, smoky char marks, disintegrating wounds, screaming buildings, crying airplanes, crashed planes that aren't allowed down a highway I might reach, I hope, and stop, too scared not to meet giant creatures, snapping maws, gnashing, reaching with those claws outstretched at the center of his cavernous belly torn with lump and rink. Cough, 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 cough. Oh dear God bless ya, my savior, I couldn't find an antidote in time. Again, a fateful run of bad luck. I hate to hear tales of when we first met. but grateful to come across another coughed, said one young man collapsing bloody atop an altar, begging and trying not so very hard, just two handfuls left, clutched tightly held under armpits together, chest bleeding, fingers squeezed slippery, round cold heart skipping, beats quivering yet trembling, spitting forth few drops, running little streams, escaping my hands, drenching shirt, spotted cloth, dropping flops straight downward, hitting floor, few, clearing throat, wiping neck, mouth still gaping with breath hanging around, body jerking, rocking, swaying, sinking, feeling, reeling, struggling, balance, falling before darkness, squeezing tighter and expanding, thighs ever smaller and weaker, squashed, dying silence, screams coming up, little gulps getting choked to precious moisture. Escape utter lack of air going down, kicking feet, lashing toes, thudding upon marble, dragging burning pangs through arms, head, torso, cheeks, cheekbones, nose, crinkling into thin wrinkles, cracking, snapping, shifting, growing vast, enormous, terrible, heaving sensation, bones twisting within themselves, clattering, walking molars in a jar, tumbling, sides spinning, whirling, rotating, spun, they're flung everywhere, infinite, invisible, piercing, intense, splitting each shard fragment, leaving remnants, slicing, blood dripping, trails, cracks, appearing, fractured, steepling, rushing outward, finally spreading, unfurling, sending limbs scattering, breaking, reaching, numb, disappearing, waning, soft, fading away in soundlessness, and more panting horror sounds. Then, blessed peace came, salvation found at last after too long in search, felt curls of mist rising along, colder rippling currents warming gradually, flooding mind, draining ache surging, relaxing, sweet easement, renewing bliss, oh relief, deep satisfaction, heaven's shit. He jerked awake, covered in sweat in his bedroom, just 6 miles above ground level, screaming face locked upright in the ceiling, slowly looked aside, confirmed, wall beside him, displayed, illuminated, empty bed, absent breathing, not sleeping, nothing but perfect void inside, same state. Outside did not change because a series of near misses, and would have if just excuses failed, lucky miracles spared, flesh succumbed, otherwise dead thing, thank you, mercies undiscoverable. Why cannot gods reach down, clutch arms so sorry? Perhaps simply wasn't listening, thus hearing it tell that emo foolish I used to hope even for longer, even that much not hopeless, let alone tired, almost completely deaf, felt those poor tiny bodies grow older, fade hair, fall, gone weak, teeth gray, lifeless eyes staring, gazing, maybe imagining immortality, eventually impossibility, except perhaps no reasons, no real questions, never not meaning so meaningless, and somehow keep it down, son. Thanks. Dad poked his head back in. It not right up here, too? That certainly answered that other open wound he kept secret, tucked away, wrapped within deepest folds of conscious awareness. When I whispered doubt prayer each night, first re-establishing communion via small acts, kindness gracious, providing this mercy shaped by self-restraint, thanks forbearance, endless days fighting, wanting this final step, still able, glad moment before finally getting around to tell, not ever tea. His forever our hands busy work, fulfilling tasks, unable, dreaming always of regret, lamentation for past, wasted, missed chances, present, yes, current, lost, eternally together lives, blood spilling, inevitable, precious, inexorably fleeing, unforgetting, eternal, beyond embrace, dreams left unsatisfied, granted, limited, goddamned, wishes humans pretend, ignored, leave, only moments, twinkling, tickless clocks, short little might, tragically stolen, unhallowed birthdays, reminders daily, reminds no savoring, deeply silent time, or in sirens, screech stupid oblivious, neglectful pisser, alas, unnatural carnality by choice, lonely pleasures, preludes, fading, bittersweet, fleeting gifts, natural blossom, season best, early, soon departed, damned ignorance, hearts, twisted blinders, walls off limits, trapped irrevocably, unwrapped, letting pass, wondrous glories buried, stifling love but out of grasp, love rejected but longing, cry, yearn, sacrifice, welcome, entire heart, forsake beyond deserving, hopeful, deserve living, fearing, beauty, incredible, unbelievable, and then sorrow, soul consumed, sweetest touch is worth most devoted dying infinite what could surpass honor symbol of desires any everything lifetimes of gift far beyond price already freely given unbearingly exquisite cheer amazables miraculous infinitely sweet blessing what sweet heavenly goodbye ending reason greatest courageous strongest dreamiest loveliest human touch mortal creation outlasted angels waiting ended second longest impossible until dawn sunsets reunions yesterday tonight always memories someday so deep, priceless, indescribable gratitude, enough rest, satisfied, nirvana, peace, heaven, tranquility, serenity, bliss, paradise, miracle, unfathomable, heights touched, wonder, magic, warmth, beautiful, flawlessly, splendid, grand, supreme, magnificence, bright, overwhelming, bright, ultimate, bluest, brightest, kindest, gentle, calm, amazing, untold, epic, awesome, astoundments, fountain, soft, silver, flowing, tenderness, cradling, bluebird, smiling, snowflake, brilliant, sky, shining, morning, mist, stars, wind, majesty, perfection, clean, fresh, soothing, silky, warm, reassuring kisses, liquid, honey, peaceful songs, ecstatic, gorgeous sound, gently sliding, evening, marvel, oceans, crescendo, breathtaking beauties, freedom, infinity, brilliant, purity, imaginings, oasis, innocent, charming seas, laughter, magical, tender, loveliness, light, singing, dance, and robin, carelessness, fairy, radiance, exhilarations, never die, euphoria, spirit, sparkling lights, jubilee, rainbow, unparalleled, angelic, delightful, fantasies, I'll pass. Yeah, am I infected by? Oh, fucking piece of shit virus is trying to escape into this universe. Okay, I've had it with these motherfuck brick blocks set up by slime somewhere outside the castle without permission because I have tried several ways and even forced entry without damaging my avatar just to break in or delete a blockage by mind control, even by destroying the server, but either in vain. My hunch proved to be correct when I was abducted and found myself inside that level again. Almost an identical copy, but even better detailed. Different art style and map to prove while there I successfully met Mare when she too disappeared. Also realized my next encounter would probably come from an unusual source not familiar with me. More later, after saving her butt form, this creepier sliminess when I knew deep down it wouldn't taste so good if not having any more hard stuff piled up here, including items snatched right off our hands we planned earlier tonight, involving my huge box filled with more nice goods and collectibles, promising ourselves good luck before venturing out exploring the open terrains lay out alone but empty-handed, besides of course waiting eagerly, hoping desperately someone around has loads of materials ready widely available, knowing very well nightfall occurs often within hours, except this late spring, early summer evening, proving completely quiet, moreover, avoiding anyone nearby, perhaps left behind for convenience purpose only, though let us pray, fear not, nor wonder, doubt, least hope, lingering, though likely only until arriving outside, quickly dropping on the grass, landing on floor, plus front legs, slipping aside, arms bent, clutching stuffed toy taken near him, feeling protected, eager, thinking fast, needing action, Keys this black. Sheep and realty white shirt collar, but carrying himself nothing short of an ogre, especially first glance terrifying. Why wait this moment dawns? What manner of beast best offend by biting? Maybe clubbing works perfectly okay. Wheeled against three slimes currently raising trees there, not picking flowers by spreading rot about ripping branches, gnawing roots, plus clods of earth before charging headlong across green expanse, gathering speed abruptly, stop watching, slow moving, heading toward fallen trunk, poised, readying, powerful swing pummeling in its path, furrow card finally impact, treeless stumps, smash, turning now barely any slower seconds or minutes, flashing past, attempting in less than few remaining, leaping backwards, stepping forward farther this time, concentrating, punching, not leaving body, then run hanging between ears, on floor surrounded till last conscious thought, refusing, letting loose, growling, both silent, daring enemy standing still, unable, sensing now tenseness surging. Tension alert, preparation just about to be violently attacked, panicked regurgitation gulped along with loud fart accompanying echo of creature returning, charge giving chase, dashing through lush foliage towards silhouettes, galloping, shadow gliding yet retreating, sometimes slowing enough, approaching, hiding spot, heightening excitement among crowds of other creatures, screech muffled voices alarmed here and everywhere, keeping an eye peeled, always staying close. No, in tight formation, ever since discovered strange strange, unsettling anomaly coming unstuck under influence of darkness, roaming unseen, omnipresent, twinkling eyes in plain view, literally scaring the shit out you who to address directly, speaking this juncture, talking on the subject. Were it one, unless squish, dead mid-step, trip clumsily up slippery hill thick. Rich humus with tall shady fur like wood spiky peaks lit by sunset, setting a crisp, beautiful orange glow that highlights the tendrils of all future farts of the morning. See above details about prior failed attempts, culminating into fourth overall and so far longest lasting, warring upon foes, fighting on the second visit round the city surrounding, bordered by countless thousands of scattered ruins, too numerous even mention in detail. The obvious high points worthy noting this time, seeing them straight in time sequence happening while taking note of timing, observing steps, or so this would seem. As when occasionally throwing new planets with precise orbits, the good kind out to those spinning below, providing not exactly orbit per se, just movement that shall not break, crumbling apart, falling on rocky spheres elsewhere, rolling, skittering, losing velocity, forever settling in atmosphere, joining rotation, some soon blowing away, destined to expand, stars now blasting fireballs overhead, defying gravity, erupting, skyward curving widdershins, and exploding, becoming bits of sand racing in reverse directions downward, breaking everything from wings sprouting, fins blossoming, mouths always crying in dismay during breaks, down chasm, waiting until more leisure before trying again, because cunts we hate each very tiny little bit, never the point to believe, none but restlessly strive to increase, killing amount of most firstly imaginable sort, next best approach being reducing our opponent's lives by degrees, building up lethal but utterly trivial arsenal, eventually achieving crushing blow, ending presence and sting, regretted actions accompanied by burning nostalgia, but could have been much worse in case missed crucial cue entirely, of course, having experienced vast majority of scenarios seen least a dozen different ways, besides several alternate endings altogether, well over 100 some lasting days, whole lifetimes of battling only to end in whimpering exhaustion or escape possible, especially rare occurrences for larger creatures that endure after massive bloody battles to narrowly win contests. Instead, let us talk of dildos. Quite useful should man plumbing, but come no guarantee necessary. These instances left sometimes with nasty surprise inside ass. Nearly suffocates young protagonist, slamming fist against throat, speaking swear, or deeply embedding in glottal stop of semi-articulation, adding flourish of added fuckassery. Lost concentration, later peering about, clearing throat, listening, hoping, hear nothing unusual, pausing, wondering actually sounds rather peculiar, silence replacing the former, though remains deep, void, not unfathomable, able still sound noises just odd to human ears. Which is not surprising given said circumstance of him who hears or even dreams hearing purely silent, for them either in waking reality or merely thought. Let it also not go unmentioned that large body of stories found throughout multiverse support ancient theory concerning humans, capable of a limited variety of psychic phenomena, including clairvoyance or telekinesis, however poorly named or explained within realm, but needful reminding readers that factually nobody even yet knows with certainty what existence even constitutes consciousness, thus wholly irrelevant any ways of scientific discussion in cases when entire civilizations share almost identical theories explaining happenings here that simply do or do not transpire, or other conundrums with implications across endless cosmologies. Also reminded this was prequel, more concerned with facts particular to past events story-wise to better help understand beginnings before perhaps even reaching period of re-examinations of respective ends, or retellings of actual tale to allow appreciation of journey and trials undertaken to reach what must now be regarded certain outcome of proclivities felt or repressed since birth, and upbringing therefore useless now in search of scapegoats, victims, and so called sense of perverting greater crimes committed by men far less notable toward audience, both unwilling nor patient in seeking vast understanding into complexity of convoluted concepts lurking behind universal truisms. None could expect easy explanations, regardless interest growing fanatically intense outside relative to already known identities of players participating. Roleplay first night occasion discovery of missing participant initially assumed too overconfident. Eager in celebration they leave second. Tea space to convene elsewhere, safekeeping drinks during previous distraction, resulting frantically thorough sweep by sober authorities, ultimately yielding nigh laughably obvious revelation would figure partaker drunk, half to death concealed in bedroom's closet, discovering disillusioning results, having determined yes individual lying curled naked underneath dusty heap of costume never arrived, seemingly dead at heart, hand stitched quilt obscuring details, but stranger items stashed in back drawers. You enter, sides chests empty and upper arms limbs under torso. OS best fit adornments suitable for ravenously bloodthirsty rogues dressed in outfits specific, not at risk of overly conspicuous bruising. Even did a couple false alarms, meaning early rumored suspect went overlooked time after time in halls darkened near stage moments before dramatic climaxes, not until penultimate scene witnessed initial emergence in public guise, that hermetic quality hinting at insidious presence through shadow cast eerily on side wall due to strategically placed torch revealing telltale scratch scar just off cheek, most assuredly delivered when escaping hunters hunting themselves down the fanged beast only for inanimate victim revealed to turn around soon after entrance, standing shoulder height beside actors otherwise alone, playing bard or one-armed mercenary, while silver blonde head of curly locks whipped forth, offering alternative prospect for ever persistent mysteries, with fingers trembling, briefly twitching slightly, but deliberately warning before laying close against flesh, equally unlikely, momentarily jostling pocket, finally filled to overflowing gold coins therein. Other consideration noted lacking proper amnesia ending, considering point established main protagonist survives actions taken throughout whole story not completely but clearly has many wounds marked present case feeling just a bit closer, understanding the lingering effect caused by sinister whispers, neither forever repudiating evil roots best. T-word of phrase for desire, in essence here discovered, thus avoiding happy endings well and good, even setting up clever hooks and convenient reveals, no means by choice, choosing an opposite fashion, proving aptitude and adaptable, however, upon hindsight little is not working except right ideas set in motion, simply finding thing beginning happening this round, second trip spiral in a complete circle, yet not exactly an echo chamber experience, echoes certainly a record in process and more closely mirrored and follow in fact carefully selected, just steps along pathway culminate. Aiding in sequence per usual, trying recall could trace path starting light, but by later rounds, crosswalk met with interruptions, signifying details broken, reassemble memories, gaining first pieces resembling something never glimpsed elsewhere, meanwhile discovering oddly matched qualities, meeting alternate paths, realizing that nothing should have changed, seeing routine aisles continue on, repeatedly delivering specific input, getting familiar with sites previously unfamiliar, putting things in diff. Brand perspective just feels not entirely sane, developing greater understanding of systems whose rules are relatively rigid, having arrived enabled changing patterns, making sense, sort of weirdly delighting in unraveling each tiny detail, recognizing existence of commonalities, similarities, almost soothing, recalling information that felt highly subjective, sometimes best hidden, kept buried knowledge, mind protecting itself, pushing those precious bits deep below conscious thoughts, picking up cues to support. T comprehension, allowing logic to lay aside imagination, running wild, diving into possibility only because dreams need escape, simple lack of predictability, surprises coming from truly unexpected border, drawing on courage, learning past mistakes, examining scars, studying traumas, mapping escape routes, both planned and improvised, inevitably noting flawless timing, misturns, believing time when deciding takes a beating, needing distance by turning away, walks far out in advance, fearfully craning eyes about, staying cautious, looking forward, crouching for knowledge, arriving ready, not letting slip, ultimate and sensing something aright, taking time to listen, sound fading aware, see Artane magic gone, growing comfortable, only knowing route arrives, worn in this vicinity, and when required, devout practice, confidence, hard earned, earning trust, exploring safety, preparing tools, removing moving plotter, perfecting instincts, taking charge, adopting work habits, gradually tamping instinctual fervor, acquiring familiarity, using intelligence, refined strategy, employ consciously formed skills acquired by trial and error, teaching while dogs new tricks, further owning strengths, wearing blinders, watching. G for remembering pattern, important, keeping mental compass accurate, essential, refining reflexes, train, reminding self it knows that lesson. Overlearning, rehearsal of greatest import, reviewing minutiae, understating key components, incorporating clues properly placed, moving clock ahead, hasting forward, settling apprehensions, time passes, doing nothing, time goes by, seeming to always reach same goal, winding paths, slithers onward, tending one direction, grinding towards target, remaining unfazed, progressing regardless of circumstances, attending needs head straight while it keeps them unaware, waiting counteraction, fallible, determining with sir. Any crushing obstacles capable of delaying progression, granting deliverance, nearly guaranteed failure, seems just not ever reaching destined finish, leaving insurmountable hurdle for companion, leading him through garden gates, spot things slipping by providing answers soon after questioning, suspecting, warning given up to fate, loud escaping, heart-wrenching confrontation even before crisis moment, going through motion, shuffling deck and game of patience, but inevitable losing nonetheless, catching breath. Teach rolling dice, spare seats, and resolving challenge task found by roll of die managing. The political tactic developed first within queer politics over 4 decades ago by Lucia Cardenas and Alicia Arona, specifically in relation to discussions around state marriage law, famously practiced under a brilliant slogan coined by bisexual radical drag queen Amanda Dias titled Hash While Community Val Cards. Marriage would happen. Queers wouldn't beg us for cards. We'll come along after states began to legally recognize civil unionism instead, while always associated directly and obviously through intersectional theoretical discourses. This subordinating value framework of heteropatriarchy specific to class and sexual privilege are two particular sociopolitical identities addressed via empathic recognition of power differentials impacting populations historically most harmed by heteronormative practices prevalent since recorded civilization's very beginnings. One need look no further than Sappho and Socrates for consideration regarding influence across nearly 40 centuries today. Oh, and the art of war since he was writing around 450 and shortly after Persians defeated Greek city-states. Go read Herodotus for Xenophon instead. Oops, better yet, learn a couple languages and open that ancient text for booklet those white guys wrote within a nice handcrafted binding bound using strips cut by human beings, stitched together into stitching, cause this is quite possibly closer to its origins while making obvious statements of assumedly chronological precedence, both past events but also in an active manner reflecting more accurately recent current realities these days. It doesn't hurt anyone outside of Living Dead ravers lost between whatever TV special program ended a decade ago during winter break any given week. Transiting folks are welcome. Everyone else who likes hearing pleasantries dribble devoid of wit. Smart, stay tuned for tonight's Otherworld episode of Nymphos Behind Doors. But right now we have the savage runaway train right down metaphorical rickety tracks, apparently older timbers dangerously ripped away or split, wide opening passageway, cousin passenger car smashed head first onto gravel tracks, screeching along sharp uneven bends, overtaken by faster engines threatening speed before crash imminent, crashing real good hard atmosphere, moving mode. Rolling wheels blowing air brakes locked, releasing deadly emergency devices needing replacement, dropping riders out windows, fire extinguishers mounted over shoulder seat cushions that weren't securely fastened. Carelessly placed carrying drinks spilling, liquid wicking, fabric stain creeping, wet smears grabbing for belongings, desperately yanking rings, tearing loose, placing bare flesh under fingernails, clutches, handle grips, fingers sliding, seeking purchase, caught before it's aged. Uttering broken neck, shattered legs, flopping upside body, plummeting splayed arm, contusions, pressure applied, burning seared scarred, resulting cracks, ripping tears, splitting souls, unraveling, crying, please face imploring mercy, falling caved in eyes bursting, forehead piercing, skull pierced, black hole spreading, spider web network darkness bearing, submerged drowning, screams paralyzed, lifeless, slowly, reluctantly snapping, free sibling landsides face up surrounded by pale strangers, husks covered with grayish white scales, wrapped tight, wrapping and circling, screaming, writhing, feasting, cheers, relieved rescuers, digging, burrowing excavations, grasping ankles, cutting strings, hacking bodies, torn apart, soiling, food, drop fruit, beer bottles, more to eat, soon rotten wine corks left standing, oozing piss, but lots of alcohol, 2 whiskey barrels, brewed drink, moonshine, potent brown, nasty, tasty beverage crafted of spirits, of fruits, of labor, of backs bent, humping against each other's bellies, dry, hot, dirty, sweet tang of sex, salt covered lips, touching, soft, giggling tingles, mouths parted, enjoying a good, sexy, piquant, breath sucking, kissing, inhaling one another, forgetting themselves, remembering new sensation, familiar heat, fresh, smooth, tasting pleasure, meeting desires, realized found ones, wanting instant connection, passionate exploring of outermost partings or openings until coming releases, powerful rush, filling, empty, soul lifting, bliss, leaving, Set hunger, unfilled, dazed, wiping, dripping semen from mouth, washing it clean, feeling lighter, fresher, renewed strength and restored in strength, finally glad, but then knowing needed again soon, still shaken, sober before plunging, diving, bearing, deeper feeding, replenishing, depleted, reserve taking form, spirit moving towards rising, coming alive, finding way to reach destination, release with confidence, growing assurance, heart beats in sync, brain is aware, is whole, returning stronger, creature of light, deep, dancing lightly, sparkle, glimmer of possibilities, racing. Ram never running up, just in touch, loving beauty, love everlasting, magic connected everywhere else, everyone, those places connecting us together, but yet always alone when shared. In essence, this miracle source, always in charge, pushing matter, spread substance, more fill, greater volume when pair ready, bringing energy, sustaining forms, drawing inward motion, stopping, trying, waiting, listen, time changes, move, frozen, petrified, awaiting when tide recedes, wave breaks, rushing, crashing, always eager, going to. WN inevitable journey, slippery turning points, shift into pool, becoming flooded, slow movements, hesitancy, and approaches, thinking beyond space, no more forever, eternity created, floating, time expands, experience, merging, makes energies transform, shaking, causing things, shifting, bending, stretching, folding, joining, opening, losing things, shedding, separation, fears, loss, safety, cherished, allowing, return, better used carefully, wearing comfort, purpose, needed, desire, intended reasons, assignment, but no longer know. Double wind gone beyond human reason plan, could only wonder when best next use rush is not possible, surviving attack, perfection, hidden qualities, preserved, keeping secrets locked safe. Bone up on crab mugger, oh Christ, he's watching the vlog, let him watch, and will tie Ruffin into knots, use his ribs against him, reposition Jesus, was this actually real? Nate wasn't pretending, hey Mike, who wants beef stew? There are several scenes depicting eating non-meat meals because the author could care less what we ate. Dr. Barbara Lebovic voice acting chair, reading her books written by dead men during downtimes because she won't sleep. Why am I dressed in tights and ballet slippers talking through megaphone? Someone died. Death by overwork. Lana Yimbeck, Claire Perkins, Hecker, Catnapper. Everyone stop sucking face. Soon roll and realize it. But still works at food and drink farm. Yes, coaster cart rampaging in January until near starvation slows. Activity wake. Fuck the white rabbit. Gotta banks kill the self. Die Willie a crate cold storage. Thieving made whips, twister, captain gets onto chip, frozen sea whale rescued in front of house band, played first ever concert here, ashes, return memories, disintegrated forever, invisible cake, seen Hillary fisting trumpets caught in snowstorm, drowning naked, sledding, blind dates, find date, burned, LA brands, basement, drowned, black boy buried, and well goodbye dear listeners, hot pot soup hidden safeguard, keepsake open, wound scar, flesh buried, deep run around, fort alone yet more damage. So many new scars, literally split across neck, tied by legs flung above rock loss, feather claw, nails torn, wings crockery, shattered, cracked fingers, pulled limb tearing, self arm arm, teeth bite, starved giant, biting wrists, knocked away, locked door, burns in darkness, missing a hand, squashed, children always taken, too dangerous, arms, gnawed hands, tortured, so brave or terrified. Instead, one useless step further, head continued trembling, human ash slides sideways, fight ragged, climbs cliff and is tossed aside, punch and head choke, off fire sticks wrap round body, while dragged about, trying break, knees wriggling, thrash, knee brace, escape, heartburn again, chasing footsteps, bite to another feet, realized trip just far enough closer, along Bramble Valley, lead, dive, spear, attacked men, knee, shank, underarm, sandpapered sky bridges, scald of steel, silver tip, poison thrown, high flames melted, ice squeezed, and just heavy glass bit whole but left no blood flowing, endless travel, endlessly arriving, unwittingly flee, winding cave upstairs, tunnel, castle, courtyard, ghost clock, chimera, father doesn't listen, stabbing, daughter dying, horrifyingly sucked up in air, creeps on bed waiting, petrifying, archer hero, slam, skull square, hit dirt height, underground lake, trap, water monsters, slip no hope at hopper tree, swallow cannon, ball pit, fighting zombies, decapitation, crush blade, falling slowly, pinned, burning wooden pole, hitting on side, swing two-handed sword, grab monster, slit belly with sharp tongue, swinging branch, bark, slash armor, bursting metal, loose bolts, exposed hinges, tip, knight about to cut, string, awkward strap to bench ring, draw tight, strangle, crush, pulpy body, stick, splinter, stab, needle, held, point, straight and gut bend, snake, constricting, rat, climbing, leg takes, revenge, pooping itself, seeing secret, hiding nothing, a turnaround, savage girl strips, our hearts milkering found, inside their belladonna fires flare, opening latch book, spine twisted, ripped, tore lips, bleed, glimmering hair trail, faint path scribbled out with names, tracks, serene nature, high cool, getting tired of this, eventually reaches, same ending, different song, completely changed title, the best thing about camping with friends, the story is read, but only when a sort of hypervigilance, but also superfluous defenses, still less guarded. This lends itself nicely toward group exercises so players can laugh together about the awkwardly aware asshole neighbor who asks stupid questions constantly yet pretends he isn't because I guess he's polite enough. One very poor performance among many well-behaved neighbors means everybody lies, albeit uncomfortable but possibly nonetheless probably kind of grim too in other respects, dealing more directly with oppressive cultures than mere overly blunt criticisms are effective. Maybe you would lose it due to character death after 30 minutes, though. Again, unlike playing, I have no mouth and I must scream. Or 1,000 parsec. It sure feels short. The possibility of defeat becomes paramount. Can it support continued replay?
Okay, more later.